My beloved child, quiet your heart and listen to my voice, calling to you amid the noise that surrounds you. There are doors I open not merely so you may step into another season, but so your entire path may be set again in a new light. I am not leading you into a new beginning simply so you can repair a few outward cracks or change a few small habits in your days. I am touching the deepest places within you, where you have hidden your anxieties, your feelings of unworthiness, your unanswered questions, and even the dreams you once feared to name. What I am doing in you is not decorating the past, but unveiling a journey built by love, by divine choosing, and by my merciful hand. From now on, you do not need to live like someone who is always trying to prove they are worthy. You do not have to keep running to be recognized, strain yourself to be loved, or use success as a garment to cover insecurity. I called you my child before you fully understood your own worth, and I have placed upon you a seal that nothing in life can erase. Therefore, this new beginning is first an awakening to who you are in my eyes. You no longer belong to the voices that once condemned you. You are no longer bound to the shadows of failure, and you no longer have to bow your head before the whispers that make you doubt your value. I am bringing you out of the dark land of fear so you may learn to walk in the bright realm of faith. I did not call you merely to survive from day to day, but to become a quiet yet steadfast lamp, a living witness of mercy, one who carries peace into chaos and hope into places that seem utterly dry. You were not created to disappear into the crowd in weariness, but to be present with a gentle, pure, and powerful beauty, like the dawn that needs no noise, yet still causes the night to retreat. Perhaps you still think a new beginning only comes when every problem has settled, when the things you fear have vanished, when the road before you becomes smooth and your heart is no longer burdened. But my child, my new seasons often begin right in the place where you feel least ready. I do not wait for you to become perfect before I lead you onward, for if I did, you would remain forever at the threshold. What I ask of you is a heart that knows how to return, to open, and to place its trembling hand into my steady hand. When you are still tired, I can still lift you. When you are still confused, I can still teach you step by step. When you see nothing but deep waters and a long night of empty hands, I can still speak one word that turns the whole barren place into overflowing blessing. Remember the story of the widow of Zarephath during the drought. She had only a small handful of flour and a little oil in a jar, just enough to prepare one final meal for herself and her son. Everything before her seemed closed, with no abundance, no way out, and nothing left to hope for. Yet in that very hour of emptiness, I sent Elijah to her, and through one small act of obedience, the jar of oil did not run dry, and the bowl of flour was not exhausted. Do you see? I do not always begin with radiant abundance. Many times, I begin with the very little that remains in your hand. A little trust, a little courage, a yes spoken through tears, a step taken even when you do not fully understand the road. All of these can become places where my power flows. Do not despise the small portion you still hold, because when it is placed in my hands, even what is little can become provision for many days ahead. So do not let old seasons teach you to fear the new one. Past failures are not allowed to become the teachers that guide your future. The times you stumbled do not have the right to define you as a failure. The rejections you once received cannot erase my acceptance of you. I am bringing you out of the old cycle where you kept seeing everything through the lens of suspicion, self-defense, and sorrow. I want you to learn to look at life again with eyes illuminated by faith. When you see a high mountain, remember that I am the one who can open a way. When you see a vast sea, remember that I know how to divide the waters. When you see a desert, remember that I can make streams flow from dry ground. When silence stretches long, do not be quick to think I am absent. For some of my deepest works take place in silence, like a seed quietly breaking open beneath the soil before rising into the light. My child, a new beginning is not only a change in outward circumstances, but a change in how you stand before those circumstances. If your heart remains imprisoned in fear, even when the door has opened, you will still stand still. If your mind still clings to old words, even when I have called your name into a new season, you will still turn back to the place where you were wounded. That is why I am gently removing the invisible chains from you, the habit of belittling yourself, the obsession with pleasing everyone, the exhaustion of constant comparison, and the feeling that you are loved only when you perform well enough. I do not love you by the measure of achievement. I do not lift you up only to abandon you halfway. My love is not a reward for the strong, but a home for the child who knows how to return. From today onward, walk as one who has been called by a new name. Do not carry the appearance of someone forgotten when I remember you with every breath you take. Do not live as though you have no portion in the light when I have prepared a place for you in my good plan. You may not yet understand all that I am arranging, but you can trust that my hand has not lost its way. There are connections I will heal, doors I will close to protect you, and paths I will open when the time is ripe. What I need from you is not absolute control, but tender trust. It is not that you must know everything about tomorrow, but that you know the one who holds tomorrow. And as you enter this new season, remember that you do not receive only for your own comfort. I will use your very journey to touch others. The place where you were wounded can become the place where you learn compassion. The place where you waited can become encouragement for someone who is growing weary. The place where you thought hope was gone can become testimony that my mercy never runs dry. You will not need to proclaim it with the noise of pride. Your life, when soaked in peace, will itself become a gentle invitation. Others will see in you something that does not come from your own strength, steadiness in the storm, gentleness amid rivalry, and purity of light in a weary world. As you learn to remain close to me each day, not only when everything is favorable, but also when tears quietly fall, you will discover a strength that does not come from outward hardness. It is the strength of a child who knows they are being held, who knows that even though the road ahead is unclear, the one leading the way is never lost. You may tremble, but you do not need to collapse. You may grow weary, but you do not need to give up. You may not yet understand, but you can still trust. For when my presence becomes your refuge, the storm no longer has the power to decide who you are. Trials may shake your circumstances, but they cannot extinguish the light I have kindled within you. The noises outside may be loud, but my voice within you is still gentle enough to heal, strong enough to uphold, and holy enough to lead you through the dark. Remember the story of Daniel on the night he was thrown into the lion's den. People thought it was the end, that darkness and fierce jaws would swallow a faithful man whole. But in the place that seemed to have no escape, I sent my angel to shut the mouths of the lions, so my servant would be preserved in the midst of danger. I do not always remove you from the deep den immediately, but I can step into the den with you. I do not always make the night disappear in an instant, but I can cause the darkness to lose its power to harm you. Do you see? My power is not limited by locked doors, accusation, threats, or circumstances that seem already decided. When you belong to me, even the place others consider the end can become the place where I reveal my faithfulness. So do not look at the lions roaring around you, and forget to look at the one who stands between you and everything that seeks to harm you. There is something I want you to learn deeply in this season. Relief does not come when you control everything, but when you know how to surrender everything to me. You have carried too much in your heart, unnamed worries, memories that still ache, old feelings of shame, and questions that keep you awake in silent nights. You thought that if you let go, you would lose the right to protect yourself. You thought that if you did not hold tightly, everything would fall apart. But my child, hands that clench for too long grow weary, and a heart that carries too much struggles to make room for peace. I do not ask you to let go so that you become empty. I invite you to let go so that I may fill you with something higher and more beautiful. What you surrender to me is not forgotten. It is placed in the hands of the one who knows how to heal, how to arrange, and how to turn brokenness into a new beginning. When you release burdens that do not belong to you, you will begin to understand true freedom. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty, but no longer being ruled inwardly by difficulty. Freedom is not forgetting everything that happened, but no longer allowing what happened to chain your steps forever. Freedom is not becoming cold toward pain, but being delivered from the power of pain over how you see yourself, others, and the future. I want you to walk lighter, breathe deeper, and lift your head higher, not because you are proud, but because you know you are loved. When your hands stop clinging to what is old, there will be room to receive what I am placing in your life. There are blessings that can only be given into open hands. There are roads that can only be entered when you are willing to leave the familiar dwelling place of fear. So do not treat my words as a passing echo in a moment of weakness. Let them become breath in the days when you must make decisions, light when you must choose between anxiety and trust, and a hidden stream when you pass through dry seasons. I am not merely comforting you so you may feel calm for a moment. I am awakening within you a holy flame, a tender yet enduring courage, a steadiness that does not need to boast, yet cannot easily be overcome. Live as one who has heard the voice of the Father calling you. Let my words enter your thoughts, purify your speech, and guide your actions. Do not keep them only in memory as something beautiful, but let them become the road you walk, the rhythm you carry, the way you love, the way you forgive, and the way you rise again each time you think you have no strength left. When you are weak, remember that I do not demand that you pretend to be strong. Lean on me. When you are confused, do not rush after every voice pulling you in many directions. Be still and listen for my gentle guidance. When you are exhausted, do not see rest as failure. Return under my covering like a child coming home after a long day of dust and wind. When joy visits you, receive it with gratitude. For joy, too, is a gift I sow along your path. In every season, whether sun or rain, night or morning, remember that you are not abandoned in this life. I am present in the details you often overlook, a door closing at the right time, someone lifting you with a kind word, a delay that turns out to be protection, a moment of peace arriving just when you thought you would break. From today onward, let faith in my love shape the way you live. Do not speak in the language of fear when I have placed the seed of hope within you. Do not act like someone without refuge when I, myself, am the place to which you can return. Do not look at the future through the eyes of old disappointments, for I still have many good things yet to unfold before you. Walk slowly, but surely, humbly, yet courageously, gently, yet with purity of light. Your life will become a mirror reflecting my light, not because you are perfect, but because you know how to let me lead you. Others may see in you a peace beyond explanation, a mercy that does not easily run dry, and an endurance nourished by grace. And in all these things, you will recognize that I have never left you. I was with you in the tears, in the silence, in the small steps, and I will continue walking with you until what I have begun in you is completed in the fullness of my love's light. My beloved child, see this moment as a sacred milestone placed upon your journey. It is not a marker of closure, nor a place where you stand looking at what was lost with regret, but a threshold opening into a new season, where I call you to step forward with pure faith and lifted eyes. What has passed has not been forgotten by me. Every day you were weary. Every time you silently endured. Every tear you thought had fallen in vain. I saw it all. You did not pass through those days alone. When you trembled, I lifted you. When you thought you no longer had enough strength, I placed a firm foundation beneath your feet. When you thought every door had closed, I was quietly preparing a way you could not yet see. Therefore, today is not the day for you to bow your head before the past, but the day for you to recognize that my kindness has followed you through every valley, preserved you through every long night, and is leading you into a more spacious place. My child, there are words I speak to you not only to soothe your pain for a moment, but to awaken within you a holy assurance: you belong to me. You are loved. You are chosen. And you are not defined by what made you fall. I do not call you by the name of failure. I do not remember you by the times your heart was weak. Nor do I look at you with the accusing eyes the world so often uses. I see you as my precious child, the one I have held since before you knew how to name hope. Your future does not lie in the hands of human judgment. It is not erased by unexpected events, and it cannot be stolen by fear or darkness. What I have placed upon you, no power can remove. What I have sown within you, no winter can fully kill. What I have begun in love, I will continue to uphold by grace. Lift up your head. My child, do not enter the new season with the posture of one defeated, for I do not lead you as someone abandoned, but as a child whose hand is held by the Father. You may not yet see the entire road, but you can trust the one who leads you. You may not yet understand why certain paths had to pass through pain, but you can know that I never waste your tears. In my hands, even things that seem broken can become materials for a more beautiful work. In my plan, days that appear delayed can be seasons in which I quietly cultivate endurance, refine faith, and teach you to lean more deeply upon me. Do not see waiting as a sign that you have been forgotten. Many times, when you think everything is standing still, I am laying the foundation for what will lift you up ahead. Remember the story of Joseph, the son who was sold away, misunderstood, imprisoned, and forgotten in the eyes of men. If you look at each stage separately, you will see only loss, the robe taken away, family separated, honor wounded, years buried in darkness. But I did not let that story end in a deep prison. What people used to harm Joseph, I turned into a path that saved many. From the place of abandonment, I brought him to a position where he could sustain an entire people during famine. Do you see? I do not only heal wounds, I can also turn the very place of pain into a source of blessing. So, when you look back at your journey, do not be quick to call it failure. It may be the road I used to prepare in you a wider heart, a deeper wisdom, and a gentler endurance for the things I have prepared. Now I invite you to enter the new season not with haste, but with steady faith. Open your heart, but do not open it for fear to come in and rule. Remember old lessons, but do not allow old wounds to hold your hand and guide your way. Be grateful for those who supported you, but do not build the foundation of your life upon their approval. Work, love, serve, and hope with a pure heart, because you are living under my gaze. I was present in every detail you once considered small. A word of comfort arriving at the right time. A delay that protected you. A door closing so you would not wander into what was not meant for you. An encounter that helped you recover courage. Nothing in your life lies outside my sight. Even when you do not understand, I am still preserving you. Even when you do not yet see the result, I am still working. So let prayer be not only a voice in a single moment, but the breath of your whole journey. Come to me without embellishment, without hiding your trembling, without pretending to be stronger than you truly are. I do not require you to come before me with hands full of achievements. I only want you to come with an honest heart, ready to be lifted, cleansed, and guided. Tell me that you want to step into this season of grace, not by your own strength, but by relying on me. Give me the burdens you have carried for too long, the memories that make you weary, the regrets that make you look back, the anxieties about tomorrow, and the self-accusations that quietly continue to hurt you. I do not despise your weakness. I touch it with mercy, so that the place that once trembled may become the place where you learn to trust more deeply. You can pray with me with a simple heart like this. Father, I come before your love with all that I have, both my joy and my fear, both my hope and the things I cannot yet put into words. I recognize that you have carried me through many seasons I thought I could not survive. I thank you because you did not leave me when my heart was weak, did not abandon me when I lost my way, and were not silent out of indifference, but quietly preserved me with your kindness. Today, I place back into your hands the days that have passed, the tears, the questions, the wounds, and the things I once tried to carry by myself. Teach me to enter this new season with pure faith. Keep me from returning to the old paths of fear. Make my heart tender before your guidance and strong, before the things that seek to pull me down. And I say to you that such a prayer does not fall into emptiness. I hear you. I know you. I am nearer to you than you think. From now on, whenever you feel small before the vast road ahead, remember that I am the one who goes before you. Whenever you grow weary because of things that have not yet come to pass, rest in my presence. Whenever you rejoice, let that joy become a gentle thanksgiving. Whenever you must choose what nourishes peace, what keeps you in the light, and what draws you closer to me. The new season does not demand that you know every answer immediately. It simply invites you to walk step by step with me, to listen to me, to trust me, and to let me shape you with love. My beloved child, be still in this moment and let my words touch you like gentle light slipping through the doorway after a long night. What I am setting before you is not merely a bell reminding you to awaken, nor only a warning to make you stop before paths that could wound you. This is a holy milestone, a door opened in your journey, a new chapter I am writing with mercy, wisdom, and unchanging love. There were times when you thought the days behind you were only a chain of confusion, only weariness piled upon weariness, only questions without answers. But I tell you that not a single moment in that journey has been forgotten by me. Not a tear has fallen without my seeing it. Not one confusion in your heart has been considered small by me. All of it is within my sight, held by me, remembered by me, and now being used by me to bring forth something better than you ever imagined. You once thought broken pieces were only marks of loss, but in my hands, even broken pieces can become materials for a new work. You once feared that the things that fell apart in your life were proof of failure, but I want you to understand that some things must be dismantled so I can rebuild you with greater firmness. Some old shells must crack so the seed within can rise from the soil. Some false securities must be shaken so you can recognize the true foundation. I will not allow the pain you have passed through to become meaningless. I never waste your tears. I can gather what you thought was shattered, breathe upon it with the warmth of grace, and turn it into a testimony of love that restores, upholds, and makes a way even where everything seemed closed. Therefore, do not see today's intervention as an interruption that should make you afraid. See it as the Father's hand placed upon your shoulder to keep you from stepping further into what is not meant for you. I do not warn you to confuse you, but to protect you. I do not awaken you so you will live in anxiety, but so you will walk in clarity. Some of my calls come very softly, like a breeze near your ear. Other times, I must stir your heart so you recognize that you are standing before an important turning point. But whether I come with gentleness or with a strong urging, my nature is still love. I do not come to condemn you, but to draw you near. I do not come to remind you of your weakness, but to show you that you are still being kept within arms no one can break. Remember the story of Hagar in the wilderness, as she walked through the dry place, carrying fear, loneliness, and the feeling of being abandoned. She thought she and her young child had reached the end. Before her was burning sand. Behind her were broken things, and within her was a cry she did not know where to send. Yet it was in that very place that I opened her eyes to see the well of water that had been prepared. What she needed first was not another land, but eyes open to recognize my provision right there in the wilderness. My beloved, perhaps you too have had days like Hagar, thinking you were lost in a hollow place no one understood, thinking your prayers had dissolved into the wind. But I heard, I saw, and many times, what you need has been placed nearer than you think, waiting only for the moment your heart is lifted so you can recognize it. From that story, understand this: confusion is not proof that you have been abandoned. Sometimes it is a sign that you are in the middle of a changing season. When an old chapter closes and a new one has not fully opened, your heart may tremble, your mind may be unsettled, and your steps may slow because you do not know what awaits ahead. But I do not condemn you for that trembling. I know you were created with a heart that can feel, can hurt, can hope, and can long for safety. I do not command you to pretend to be calm when waves are still rising within you. I simply invite you to bring everything back to me. Bring me your worries, your question, and even the things you do not yet have the courage to say. I am not afraid of the truth within you. I am your Father, and with me, you do not need to hide. What is being born from these difficult-to-understand days is not a life exactly like before. Merely dressed in new clothing, I am deepening your discernment, purifying the source of peace within you, strengthening your faith, and widening your capacity to love without losing yourself. The things that once wounded you will not have the right to rule you forever. The memories that once pulled you backward will no longer be allowed to direct your entire future. I am teaching you to step out of old reactions, out of habits of fear, and out of the feeling that you must hold everything together by yourself. I want you to know how to rely on me, not as a distant idea, but as a living reality in each day. When you wake, I am there. When you must decide, I am there. When you are silent because you have no words left to speak, I am still there. My child, receive this truth like an anchor lowered into a stormy sea. You are loved more deeply than you can measure. My love is not fragile like human emotion. It does not change according to performance. It is not withdrawn when you stumble, and it does not grow cold when you do not yet understand the way. You cannot be stolen from my hand by words that wound you, by unexpected events, by threatening darkness, or by the days when you feel small. I have placed around you a covering that the natural eye does not always see, but a trusting heart will gradually recognize. There were times you were kept back from danger without even knowing it. There were doors that closed because I was protecting you from what was not good. There were delays not meant to disappoint you, but to prepare you for something more timely, pure, and lasting. So do not resist the new season simply because it comes with a call to change. Do not be afraid when I invite you to release something old, because your hands need to be free to receive what I am about to give. Do not grieve over what no longer belongs to your journey, because I know what nourishes you and what quietly drains you. I do not take away in order to leave you empty. I purify so you may become lighter. I do not break things to add to your pain. I remove weak foundations so I may build within you a lasting dwelling place for peace. When you allow me to lead you, you will see that the things you do not understand today will gradually become clear. You will look back and recognize that my hand connected scattered fragments into a beautiful thread, quiet yet full of grace. Step into this new chapter with humility and courage. When you hear a warning, do not panic. Stay awake. When you feel the stirring that calls you to change, do not delay. Respond. When you see that an old path no longer carries peace, do not force yourself to return simply because it is familiar. Trust that I can lead you into a wider land. And in every step, remember that I am not merely standing at the end of the road waiting for you to arrive. I walk with you in every small step. I am with you when you are bold, and I am with you when you tremble. I am with you when you understand, and I am still with you when you do not. My love does not leave you in the in-between place of transformation. My beloved, the good thing being born will not always come in the form you expected, but it will bear my mark, deep peace, purity, mercy, wisdom, and new life. Let today become the day you stop seeing tears as useless, stop seeing confusion as failure, and stop seeing broken pieces as the end. In my hands, tears can become seeds. Confusion can become the place where you learn to listen, and broken pieces can become the foundation for a work more radiant than before. I am near you. I am calling you. I am protecting you. And no one, nothing, and no darkness can pull you out of the loving arms I have opened to you from before the ages.